Hey Josh, how you doing?
What's up, John? How are you today?
I'm all right. All right. This is interesting. This is our very first podcast.
Yes, it is.
Thanks for coming on, because I kind of put together this thing where I went to people on social media that had contacted us previously about workers' comp, and I asked them if there were any other questions that they would like to ask you. And so I have a list of 7 questions, and I thought I'd ask you and maybe you could answer them.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So the first question, this one's a little tricky. I smoked pot after my workplace accident due to pain. I will definitely fail a drug test if I'm required to take one. Can they deny my claim over that?
They definitely can't deny your claim. One thing they can do is possibly terminate your employment because being drug-free and substance-free is a condition of employment. However, if you got hurt on the job, whether it's your fault, someone else's fault, as long as it wasn't done intentionally, you still have a claim.
Oh.
So you're welcome to go and file a claim. Your employer might have a policy where they have to drug test you, but they can't deny you medical benefits and workers' compensation benefits just because you smoke pot for pain.
Got it. All right. That's very good. I honestly didn't think that was going to be the case. So next question is, do my rights change for workers' comp if I was hurt while working at a customer's home?
Absolutely not, but in fact, you might actually have more rights. So when you're working at a customer's home, and I'm going to give you an example of a type of employment and 2 different ways they can get injured and how you either have the same rights or you have expanded rights. So you go to a customer's house and you're a traveling nurse. You have to help this person bathe and eat, and you go to pick them up and unfortunately you pop something in your back. Well, that isn't anyone's fault. But you are entitled to workers' comp for that. Let's say you have to take a couple weeks off. You need to get paid for those weeks, and also you need to go see the doctor. We can get your medical benefits paid, and we can get paid for your couple weeks off. Now, another situation that changes is if, let's say, you're a traveling nurse and you're going to someone's house, and then all of a sudden on the driveway there's a huge crack that you weren't able to notice. You step out of your car, your ankle slips in this crack, and you shatter it.
Oh.
This has happened to a couple of our clients, and now not only do they get workers' comp, they have the right to then pursue that homeowner and go after that homeowner's insurance liability policy. Because generally at our firm, we don't go after people, we go after insurance companies. But, you also not only have workers' comp, but you can go after some pain and suffering, which you're not allowed to go after in workers' comp.
Okay.
Because you were traveling and someone else caused an accident.
Oh, all right.
So someone else has to be at fault for that accident to have expanded rights, but if it's part of your job to travel and you get hurt while traveling, it's the same as if you got hurt at an office job or working at a factory.
Got it. All right. Next question. There was a videotape of my accident, but my employer won't release it to me. Is there any way to get it?
Well, unfortunately, no. There's no process of discovery, which is getting evidence from one side to the other through workers' comp, unless that one party who has the evidence wants to put it in front of the judge. So same thing goes to the claimants. If the claimant, who or the person that's injured, has some kind of proof and they want to use it at a hearing, you can only use it at a hearing if you disclose it to the employer or the insurance company ahead of time.
Okay.
So you're not entitled to that video. You're not entitled to any kind of discovery. But if you want to use discovery or they want to use discovery, and then also, my advice is if they have a video of it and they won't show it, let's talk about it in front of the judge, and the judge will take that into consideration that they're hiding it from the judge and the board and say, hey, look, he was injured or she was injured because they have a video of it and they're failing to produce it and they're trying to prove that you weren't hurt, and the judge will look at that and say, you're hiding things from us and find you have a case.
All right. That sounds good. All right. So the next question is, can I be forced to have surgery by the insurance company?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
There's no simpler way to put it. You can't have surgery. And usually, I will tell you this, the insurance companies don't want you to have surgery because they are expensive. You have to pay for the doctor, the anesthesiologist, the hospital, all the nurses, and they don't want you to have surgery. So generally what they do is they'll send your file to be reviewed and to see if the surgery is necessary or recommended, because they want to do everything they can to stop you from having surgery.
Okay.
Never do they ever want to promote you to have it.
That's interesting. All right. And next question. Does a doctor have to treat you if you have no insurance but were hurt on the job?
Well, no doctor in any situation ever has to treat you.
Oh.
You know, it's like forcing someone to go work for someone else. We're not allowed to do that. But if you have no private health insurance for like your yearly appointments, but you got hurt on the job, you should be getting workers' compensation insurance, which will treat you and pay for all your medical benefits relative to that injury.
Okay.
And there are a ton of doctors in all different areas of New York that will treat you for like a knee injury or a back injury or general pain or physical therapy. So a doctor, you can't force a doctor to take care of you, but there's enough options out there, and you need to work with a good attorney, because really what the doctors want to know is that they're getting paid. And it's up to you and your attorney to get all the insurance paperwork filled out within the proper time frame, to let your employer know that you're injured properly and in writing. And once those steps are done, then your doctors are more likely to take you, and they're not going to essentially try to deny you because you don't have private health insurance.
Got it. Am I required to return to work after a workplace injury?
You're never required to return to work, but the question is, what's your goal? So if you're getting workers' compensation benefits, such as lost wages and medical benefits, while you're out of work, sometimes your doctors will list you at less than 100%. And if your employer can work within your medical restrictions, then you would be required to go back to work in order to keep future ongoing wages down the road. So for instance, we had a client who became partially disabled, and the doctor said, here's your medical restrictions, and you can't lift more than 10 pounds. You have to sit and stand every 20 minutes and change your position every 20 minutes. And the employer came back and said, hey, we can meet those requirements and we can give you a reasonable accommodation. So if the employer then gives you a reasonable accommodation to meet your doctor's requirements, you have to go back to work. And otherwise, your option is you don't get paid from the insurance company, because why would the insurance company pay you when there's employment waiting for you that's within your medical restrictions? So
Got it.
You don't have to go back to work if you have restrictions, and you can find a job in your restrictions, but be careful because you might actually lose all your payments.
Got it. No, that's very good to know. And the last question I got was, I was injured at work but don't need surgery. Will I get a payout in the end?
So
I think it's kind of an open question.
It is an open question, but a lot of people have this misconception that you need to have surgery in order to get some kind of recovery.
Okay.
And I was actually at a family party for a young kid's birthday party, and one of the kid's parents all of a sudden blurted out, you can't get any kind of settlement without a surgery. So the answer is, and I talked to him for a minute and told him that's not necessarily true. Hopefully someone who's injured doesn't need a surgery, because you don't want that on anyone. But you can get recovery. And also in the workers' comp world, I have people all the time who have shoulder injury, leg injuries, who get settlements, and back injuries who get settlements. In the motor vehicle accident where you're suing someone else, we get recoveries all the time without surgery. You don't need a surgery to get a recovery. What you do need to be is an honest person who is actually injured, and then doing what your doctor recommends to try to get you better, because that's what proves that you're actually injured. Surgery doesn't prove you're injured. Listening to your doctors and trying to improve your health, that's what proves you're injured. And a lot of people aren't forced to have surgery because the injury isn't that severe, but that doesn't mean you're not entitled to some recovery.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for answering those questions. So is it all right if I have you back next month for a little sit down? And so I'll put this out to social media, and we'll see what other kind of questions we can come up with. And so it was very interesting, very enlightening.
Yeah, I'd be happy to return to the Ramos and Ramos studio. I appreciate the invite.
You got it. Please return to the Ramos and Ramos studio. Thank you.